Today I'm going to be showing you how to make these 3 matching arrangements. And these are the flowers that I'll be using to make these arrangements. So I'm going to be showing you how to make a multiple of 3 arrangements. And as you can probably guess from the orientation of the vases, the 2 on the left are going to be exactly the same, or as close as possible with natural flowers and natural elements. And the one on the right is going to be a mirror image of the other 2. And the reason I'm showing you this is because sometimes if you have, say, a non-floral centerpiece, like on a mantle or on a table, you may want 2 mirror image arrangements on either side of that rather than 2 exact replicas. So I'm kind of going to show you how you would do that if you're going through and you're trying to make the mirror images. Now, because I'm working on a small scale farm, I may only have a few stems of a particular flower at any given time. And because of that, I like to make all of the arrangements at the same time rather than completing one and moving on to the next. And this is how I guarantee that I'm going to have enough of a particular flower for all of the arrangements. Because if I start working and I run out, then I know that I either need to borrow a few from the first arrangement and kind of spread them a little thinner, or else maybe I need to choose a different flower to work with. So I'm going to begin by adding a flower. You see I have the spike to the left, pointing to the left in the first 2 vases, and then pointing to the right in the 3rd vase. And then I've also added a disc flower pointing to the left in the first 2 vases and then to the right in the 3rd vase. And now I'm going to go ahead and add a spike in the other direction. I'm going to speed up the video just a little bit so you can kind of get through it a little faster as I add the second component. All right, now I'm going to go and add some zinnias. And again, speeding up the video as I get to the later vases. It is okay to go back and shorten the length of a stem. You really can't add length. So if in doubt, start longer and then clip as needed. Now you do want to strip the leaves off of stems, if any, that will end up below the water level. And the reason for this is any leaves below the water level are more likely to contribute to bacterial growth in the water, which will shorten the vase life of your flowers and how long they look pretty. All right, I'm filling in that center space now between the spikes going either direction. I've got the cluster of blue spikes on one side and then the brown spike on the other, and I'm kind of filling in that central space. I don't want to make these vases too full. I kind of want them to just look a little bit light and airy, not packed with flowers. But I'm going back and do want to fill in that space and not have an empty hole. So I'm using these miniature zinnias. Now I will move on to my rudbeckia. Again, notice I'm stripping the leaves and I am placing the rudbeckia in the vases with the first 2 being the same and the 3rd one being a mirror image of the other 2. You'll also notice that as I'm sticking it in and checking stem length, I check, shorten, check, and sometimes even shorten again after that as needed to achieve the right stem length. Now it is okay to go back and shorten some stems a little bit as you're working with the design, because sometimes what looked symmetrical initially, as far as how far something was sticking out, doesn't always look as great as the arrangement comes together. So it is okay to go back, shorten a few stems, and achieve the length you want for the look that you're going for. Each stem has its own slight curve of its own, and then each flower is slightly different, and so it won't be exactly the same, but sometimes trimming the length can help you to get it as similar as possible. Now I am going to go back and add some more rudbeckia. When you're designing, it's important, often a general rule of thumb is to think about designs in odd numbers. So I'm going to go with 3 rudbeckia in each of these arrangements, and that's going to be my odd number. And again, going back and shortening as needed so that the flowers end up where you want them to be in the finished arrangement. And now I will add my 3rd rudbeckia. I am going to push one of the vases back at this point, and this is just because the flowers are starting to kind of bump into each other, and it's making it a little bit trickier when I'm designing. Now I can go back and fine tune, trimming stems as I need to kind of make the flowers achieve the look that I'm going for, and as far as how much stem is showing and how far they're sticking out of the vase. I'm going to go back and add just a few more zinnias to that empty hole in the middle to kind of fill that emptier space in. And here are the finished arrangements.